United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call taken. Approval of the agenda.
Approve.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Motion passes. And approval of the minutes.
Approve. I'll make a motion.
Unanimous. Everyone say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
And open forum. I do not see any open forum. All right, Brad, you're up.
All right.
We're gonna go ahead with our e-bike presentation and scooters. The only other thing you have to remember is if this person's at a red, they have to watch over.
All right. Good evening, Commission. No fancy PowerPoint or presentation tonight. I'm hoping this can be more of an open forum discussion so I can get your perspective on e-bikes and scooters. And I'm trusting that you've had some conversations with the community because I know it's a hot topic. And so really what we're trying to do by getting this on your agenda and getting your feedback tonight is just start the dialogue and recognize and acknowledge that this could potentially be problematic, and it's certainly an area of concern with our citizens. And we want to get out ahead of that, start the dialogue, and just make sure that we're approaching this in a common sense manner with safety in mind for everybody that uses our sidewalks, trails, walkways, and that we're not having avoidable crashes and injuries and things like that. So want to get your input on it, and then also I can try to answer some questions if you have questions about what constitutes a scooter versus an e-bike versus a mini bike, things like that. To be completely honest, it's super confusing, and I spent way too many hours trying to digest this and put this in a very readable document, both for your benefit as well as our officers and the public. And so this last month, we've been educating our officers so they can be as brief or as understanding as possible. And phase 2 is starting to educate the public. So we're starting to make some stops in the public. Enforcement is not the goal at this point. We're not trying to write tickets to kids. We're just trying to educate the riders and parents so that they can make informed decisions and keep safety forefront in their mind. And so we're starting to launch this Ride Safe campaign, like I said, educating through social media and other means, presentations in public, enforcement stops. We're working on some incentive programs to help incentivize safe riding habits and wear of safety gear, things like that. So I guess before I get too far into this, I'll pause for a minute and just ask where you'd like to see this conversation go and see if you have any comments or questions to help guide this discussion.
I know we had a really lengthy conversation about this last year in the fall of the year. Where did that end? I mean, we were really talking about trails though and parks, and it's coming outside of that area. That's the issue, correct?
It's generally where sidewalks and trails are interfacing or intersecting with streets. That seems to be the problem, at least lately. I do see an occasional complaint or hear about a concern on the trails and sidewalks themselves, but for the most part, the incidents are happening at those intersections because they're not yielding to traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, yes, there was a discussion about a year and a half ago where some ordinance changes were at least considered. At this point, there were no ordinance changes recommended. Basically, our ordinance reflects state statute at this point.
Right.
In terms of definitions and obeying traffic laws, things like that. It just refers back to state statute. So we decided not to be more restrictive. Obviously, we're a recreation destination. We want everybody to enjoy our parks, trails, sidewalks, commercial areas, and benefit from these mobility devices and have fun with those. So we're not trying to be overly restrictive. And to be clear, public safety is not advocating any changes at this point. We're just starting the dialogue to see where we need to go with it. Yes, ma'am.
Can you share maybe some examples or statistics on like the incidents or complaints that we've had so far?
I sure can.
Yeah.
I came prepared.
I figured.
All right, so first category is electric scooters. We had, and this is just this year, so year-to-date 2025, 5 scooter accidents. Actually make that 7. 3 scooter incidents that involved like an enforcement action. So it was most likely a complaint by somebody in the public that resulted in patrol responding out there and having contact with the rider. 2 e-bike violations, 2 e-bike accidents, 3 citizen complaints regarding e-bikes, and then mini bike / dirt bike, there were 16 complaints. And I think a handful of those came from the same offender and same concerned citizen. There's a problematic rider and a very concerned citizen down in the area of Hamlet Park that keeps calling in about the same problem. So not to diminish the problem, but just know that there's been a handful of calls regarding that same incident. So, so overall, summarizing this, there's not a ton of incidents. We did have a couple of e-bike crashes happen just within the last couple of weeks that kind of got everybody fired up on social media. And I know of at least a couple incidents that weren't reported to us, didn't rise to our level. So there are some unreported stats, you know, as always with any crime or ordinance consideration, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes unreported, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'd like to hear more about them not abiding by the intersection rules. I don't know if I fully understand what the rule is at an intersection for a pedestrian. And I'm referring to when they have the red hand or the walk signal. If they have the red hand, do they still have the okay to go? Like, let's say they're riding on an e-bike and they're going pretty quickly and they want to go. I would think that they're not allowed to go because they have the red hand, but are they at fault if they get hit?
So some of this is a little bit open to interpretation, and I might be a little bit, I might not be 100% accurate on this, but my belief is if they're on the sidewalk, they have to obey the crosswalk signals. If they're in a lane of traffic, they need to obey traffic laws. So that's where the kind of gray area comes in. And if anybody knows differently, feel free to correct me, because this is not my area of expertise, so.
Nor mine.
But she's just, I mean, there's a huge issue not only here, but statewide.
Or
And
nationwide.
you see them go through red lights. You see them now. I know other cities, it's okay to go through a stop sign if you don't see any vehicles coming. And it's okay to go through a red light if you don't see any on a bicycle. So, but if you get hit, it's who has the right of way and who doesn't. And in a situation like that, you both have to yield to each other.
Correct.
So isn't it a no-fault issue if you get hit in that situation?
That sounds like a good question for an insurance agent.
Right.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? I mean, when it comes to, you all have to be watching. So
Yeah.
you could be dead wrong being dead right. And I think that is one of these things with scooters and bicyclists and pedestrians right now. I really appreciate that you guys are thinking about the education piece. Because a lot of these people who are getting these don't know what they don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And they don't know how powerful they are. They don't know the mechanisms of it. And, you know, younger adults are starting to utilize them as their mode of transportation. So I do appreciate that an education initiative is out there, and there's a lot of turnkey materials. So if you are interested, feel free to reach out, because you can slap the logo on it and run with
Awesome.
it while we
I'll
create
take
the
anything
wheel.
you can send me.
Yep.
Yeah. Just on my way home from work today, I saw probably a 12-year-old, no helmet, riding an e-bike. Of course, he had somebody riding on his back pegs. Not obeying traffic laws. I'm like counting how many infractions, how unsafe could you possibly make this act? But that's commonplace. We see that
Yep.
all the time. The kids just don't know any better, and I guess parents are just naive to the risk. So
Right.
we're
And
gonna do-
sometimes they don't know what they don't know either.
yeah, absolutely.
The lack of protective equipment is what scares me the most. I mean, obviously in your profession, you've seen many instances where people have an accident. By nature, it's an accident, and it ends very, very badly with a head injury on a an e-bike is commonplace, right? Like, it's happening across the state, it's happening across the country. The education piece, I think, is I'm super excited that you're focusing on the education piece, because I think people, as you mentioned, don't know what they don't know. The parents are just, we just bought them an e-bike, or we bought them an electric motorcycle off Amazon, and shows up and we slap the wheels on it and away you go at 30 miles an hour. No helmet, no protective equipment. It's frightening to me. I work from home and I watch them race down the street. They're not 15 as the
Right.
the requirements state that they're supposed to be 15. They're not. They don't have helmets on. That part scares me the most. I'm not going to call and complain about them being underage. I'm mostly really scared about their well-being without a helmet.
Right, yep.
You know, it's easy to get a TBI. You wipe out and, you know, smack the concrete at 30 miles an hour. A TBI will be probably best case scenario.
Right,
Red
yeah.
and green is another really big issue. So as everyone's turning right, they're getting their crosswalk sign, so they're up here, coming on their e-bike, all they see is green. They're not paying attention to anything else. And so those crashes have really been going up.
right.
Hey Nate, what's a TBI?
Traumatic brain injury.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I actually, I have a friend that on LinkedIn, we met at a conference in cybersecurity. He lives in Texas. He passed away this last weekend on a one-wheel accident. Smacked his head, didn't have a helmet on. You know, he's a grown man. He can make the decision on whether or not to wear protective equipment, and he chose not to. But unfortunately, accidents happen, and it can happen to anyone, you know?
Right.
And that's what's scary is you have 15-year-old kids that just either they can't afford a helmet, they just don't want to wear a helmet because it's not cool, like whatever. So I think the education piece, and then, you know, is there a grant for giving out, like you said, is there a grant for giving out some sort of equipment or, you know, providing a coupon or something for a discount? Yeah, it's,
So we'll definitely keep our eyes open for those grant opportunities as always. And we're looking to partner with some of our local nonprofit organizations. We're in the process of making those contacts right now, looking for a partner to provide those coupons or even provide some free helmets for those that don't have the financial means to buy their own helmets. And then, you know, whether it's ice cream cone coupons or something to reward that positive behavior too. So just like we used to do with bicycle helmets. So that seemed to work well, so we're just going to cut and paste.
I think the biggest issue, obviously, is you're talking about the increased speeds. You know, kids are going from riding regular bikes to now using all these motorized things. And I think it just comes down to also how proactive do we want to be in the situation you mentioned earlier. Obviously, what that young individual was doing was extremely unsafe. And the risk of something happening is much higher, obviously, right? So as a community, how much money do we want to spend addressing those issues and being proactive before things do happen? Because they're far more likely to happen when you've got those speeds. So I think that's kind of something we really need to ask ourselves, like how much, what are our resources to invest in addressing it proactively?
Right, yeah, we're talking about our children's lives, so I think
Right.
a few hundred, a few $1,000s spent proactively, just to make sure that they're safe is money well spent. So,
So I think the education piece is extremely important, but at some point there has to be some consequences for poor choices because, you know, otherwise you don't
learn.
Yeah, you don't learn, you don't bring about real change.
right, yep. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I just think my personal philosophy is that we need to educate before we enforce, unless it's an egregious and willful violation of the law that is, you know, a common sense violation. But I think by and large, the public just doesn't know what they don't know yet, and so we'll invest time educating first, and then at a certain, like you said, at a certain point, enforcement will probably become a priority for us.
Yep. And then understanding the different avenues or venues for communicating that education. You know, maybe that could be partnering with different stores who sell the bikes. I mean, I know there's Eric's Bike Shop in Woodbury, but other than Walmart and Target, are there any other locations in Cottage Grove that sell e-bikes? Or Amazon online, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But also maybe partnering with the schools, because
that's a
that's
great
a
idea.
great target market.
Yep,
don't they have like they have a bicycle day or a week or something where they all ride bicycles to school?
I don't know, but I'll look into that.
Yes, they
In
do.
September, they do. It's
They absolutely
Safe
do.
Kids Walk to School, and it's usually about the second, I can get you the information on it.
So on those days, you definitely see an uptick of all kinds of transportation, if you will, not just regular traditional bikes, but, you know, your scooters, your electric scooters, your e-bike, so for sure.
Not saying that you should leverage the contacts in the Lions Club, because I know they're super active in the community and a fantastic example of an organization that would probably take up a cause like this. But they also make it very easy for guys like me to donate, you know, to donate to the cause. So if that happens to be something that you put together,
It's already been done.
I think there's probably a lot of people like me that if you make it easy to donate to the cause, it's going to be probably pretty easy to gather up quite a bit of money for safety equipment. But yeah, that bicycle thing in September is a fantastic way to ideally educate some of the kids on the resources available, the things that they're supposed to do or not do. Maybe send home a flyer to their parents. Whether or not they bring it to their parents is a different story. But yeah, I think that's
Yep, we will definitely look into the school angle. And one other thing that I just wanted to bring up too for discussion is that our trails are currently posted as a max speed of 15 miles per hour. And that's, I would say, more of a recommendation than it is like an enforceable hard and fast speed limit. And it's also hard to enforce that because we're not gonna be sitting on the trails running radar on bikes and e-bikes, right? That's just not practical. And so that might be something that we want to look at in the future is how do we enforce that? How do we reinforce, you know, those safe riding habits? Do we want to reconsider? Do we need to have a different speed limit or restriction on e-bikes? Things like that. But that's way down the road. We're not at that point yet. So just something to put in the back of your minds and chew on. So.
For the complaints, is there anything else besides like the accidents? Is there other, or like those intersections? Is there any other thing that we should be focusing on too or keeping
Sorry,
in mind?
the beginning that said
With
the complaints.
yeah.
So one thing that I didn't touch on is that we're seeing an uptick in stolen e-bikes, scooters, things like that, because as it's become more prevalent, it's just more opportunity for theft. So might be another thing we need to do is educate and provide locks and things like that, or even a place to lock them up in the parks and commercial districts. And then mostly is the other complaints are just like, hey, this e-bike was going too fast on the trail, or this mini bike doesn't belong on our trails or parks. A lot of those types of things, like some of the public don't know what is or isn't allowed yet, so they just assume that this e-bike can't be in the park, when in actuality they can. It's really hard to differentiate between an e-bike versus an electric mini bike. Even oftentimes I don't know. I have to go do the research. It's really difficult for our officers to figure that out, and probably nearly impossible for the public to figure it out if you don't have that law enforcement background or the statute book in front of you.
Yeah, you would want to tend to say that if something can go above that 15 miles per hour, then should it even be on a trail that has that parameter? But like you said, it's hard to identify, you know, and set that boundary because of that.
Yep. So that's really, I appreciate the discussion and the pointers and the tips. I'll take that back and get to work on that stuff. That really accomplishes my goal for coming here tonight and having this discussion. I just wanted to get on your radar. So that's front and center in your minds. You can talk with the public and bring that back to me anytime. You don't have to wait till the next meeting. You guys got my phone number, my email. Send me your concerns and thoughts, and we'll get after it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So pending your questions, that's it.
Good.
All right, thank you.
I don't have the agenda in front of me anymore, so let me see. My iPad just died, so pause, please.
Business items.
Business items, is that what we're on? I'm gonna see if I have a paper copy by any chance. Here we go, thanks, got it. All right, so thank you for that presentation. Next up, business items. Any? Okay. Commission comments. Any? I don't have any. All right. This is staff reports and materials. You're taken care of, so Gary, you up? Sure. Or do you have more, Brad?
I could always add more.
Okay, then please do. Please do. My apologies.
No problem. So before you have the quarterly police report, so feel free to peruse that, and if you give me just a couple minutes, I wouldn't mind highlighting a couple of the high points. So reported crime and overall crime is down compared to our comparable communities across the country, so that's a great thing. Our clearance rate is exceeding 80%, which is an incredible achievement. So what that means is every crime that's reported to us, 80% of those crimes is being solved through prosecution or return of stolen property, things of that nature. So like, it's not uncommon to see, communities being down around 30, 40%. To be at 80% is just a real achievement, so I'm really proud of that. You can see that our patrol division is doing more calls for service, which is to be expected considering our community is growing. But despite that, they're doing a ton of proactive checks, which really reflects their commitment to being proactive and deterring crime, taking care of our parks and commercial districts, things like that. They're also doing a ton of traffic stops. Traffic enforcement has been a huge priority for us in these summer months. And just so, despite what you read on some social media pages, we're out there continuously. Just in the last week and a half, we logged over 40 hours of dedicated traffic enforcement in our high priority zones. And really, that's just identifying what are our 3 highest priority areas or hot zones in town, and our officers are there whenever they can. So we're putting a ton of time and effort into maintaining safe roadways. Like I mentioned before we went live tonight, Officer Renzel has 108 DWIs, and he got a hat trick here recently, so he's exceeded our goals for the entire year.
One officer got 108 DWIs?
Correct, yep.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
He's
our
done- yeah.
grant-funded DWI officer, so,
Nice,
yeah,
very nice. Okay, and 3 in one night. That's awesome.
yeah. Our therapy canine rigs had 50 deployments in Q2, so that program just came online and is proving wildly successful. The community absolutely loves them. It's been an awesome tool to disarm those potentially volatile situations involving, mental health patients and things of that nature. As soon as RIG shows up, de-escalates the situation, and then it allows us to get them the help that they need and stuff like that. And it's a great community relations tool as well, so. Crime scene team is up and running now, so that's starting to get used. There's just a ton of good data in here. I won't go over all of it. I hit some of the high points. One thing that we're also really proud of is some of the results from the POLCO survey. So 91% overall satisfaction rating among our citizens in overall police services. And then also mirrors what we're seeing on our own internal polling that we do here locally. We're averaging about a 95% satisfaction rating. So really proud of that. Another exciting development, we just got awarded a auto theft prevention grant. So that's going to allow us to invest in some technologies to help deter, detect, and solve any crimes that happen in our community. And then we also just purchased 2 traffic data collectors, so little black boxes that we can position around town. They're very mobile, easy to move. So when citizens call in about, speeding cars or the amount of traffic on a roadway, things of that nature, these devices will collect that data, and it gives us really actionable reports. So it'll literally tell us on this day at this time, this is when you need to be here to catch the speeders. And so that'll help us do our job a lot more efficiently and confirm or deny whether we have a problem on our streets that we need to deal with. So there's a lot more good stuff in there. Feel free to read through that and reach out to me anytime if you have questions with that. With that, I'll
I
turn it
would
over.
like to draw the commission's attention to the last page to see the employee of the quarter. And I have read through this, and congratulations to you. It does not surprise me at all. Congratulations, Brad.
Thank you. I tried to not let that happen, but Chief overruled me. Appreciate your
Better try
time.
a little harder.
Right?
Yeah, next time.
Right.
Congratulations.
Was it voted on, or did you appoint yourself?
Right, there you go, there you go. Next thing.
It's gonna be Q3.
Right, right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Gary, you're up.
All right, so for Public Works, the high zone raw water main, the contractors plan on closing 70th Street at Eitzen. So starting July 28th through August 8th to install the water main and casing pipe across the road. The detour will be Hinton, 65th to Inwood. And if people, the park will still be open, so you'll be able to go through Eitzen from the north to the south. Pavement management's been going pretty good. They started Phase 3 curb removal. 75% of the iron has been lowered. Phase 1 and 2 topsoil has been placed, and the base course has been down. They should be spraying sometime this week, the seed. The park is just getting a temporary blanket over the dirt because of the heat and the drought. They want to make sure it's later in the fall so the seed will have a good chance of growing. The mill and overlay, the concrete work is completed, so all the curb, pedestrian ramps, topsoil placed. They're going to start milling that at the end of this month. And then we did almost complete, we were trying to get it done today, the Granada Park bump out that you guys were part of. So it is open. We're just waiting to stripe it, but the rain kind of held us off. But tomorrow it should be all striped, but it is open for parking and should relieve some of that congestion over in that neighborhood. And then in-house too, 95th Street Trail connection, there was a little part left on the south side between Hadley and Jamaica down towards that. That is completely open. And then this week, we're gonna start doing our in-house thin overlay, and that will be on Lehigh between 100th Street and 95th Street. Any questions on any of them?
Never a dull moment.
Can I ask what the timing is of the stoplight by Goodwill and Kohl's? Looks like it's closed, but
Yeah, I can get back to you on that information.
that's okay. I was just
Yeah.
curious. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that answer, but I will
okay.
find out for you.
All right. The road looks nice, but nice and smooth.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Clausen, you're up.
Good evening. If we haven't met, my name is David Clausen. I'm one of the new council members. Dave Thiede is usually here tonight, but he couldn't make it. So part of my update, I will not talk about Strawberry Fest. I'll leave that to him. You don't ever touch that, do it. Gary talked about the water main on 70th Street. That water main running north-south now is going to meet up with a brand-new water treatment plant. It'll be the second one in the city. And they just started, it'll be located behind the fire department, Central Fire Station. There's a large land area back there, which is just being cleared this week. So they've already started on that. It's going to be a several-year project, be operational sometime mid-2028. So there's a lot of work to do. It's going to be, I'm told that's with the water main and that treatment plant, it's the city's largest public works project ever. So it's going to be several-year project, but we're also going to have the cleanest water. So we're, one of my notes was to talk about the traffic signal on East Point Douglas on the Coles curve, I call it. And what I was going to say is, we don't know.
Okay.
That's the last thing that's needed. Public Works open house. My third favorite open house to attend, of course, the police is first. I work there, then fire, and then Public Works, of course. Best food ever, though. So Public Works open house, September 25th, 4 to 7. Do you have any, that's all I have. Any questions for the council or any comments, concerns, complaints?
Gary, do you know if, so 70th is obviously got to be shut down. Is there any other major roads in the city that need to be shut down for that water main? I know that he discussed they're going to be able to do boring underneath the road at one junction, but I wasn't sure if there's going to be more.
Yep, so the 80th Street one is where they're doing the borings. There'll be a pit on either side of that. That's supposed to start sometime this week. 70th, because of the rock underneath, they have to do an open cut. So that's the reason it's going to be shut down for 2 weeks.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I remembered as well, is it was just gonna be 70th that we had to shut down. Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
I will just say on our website, there is a construction website.
Oh,
or
I was
link that you can follow, and it will give you week by week updates and what's going on, or you can email and get an email with weekly updates. So if you're interested in a specific project, you can.
Is that, are you sharing that on social every now and then?
I would think so.
Okay.
but-
Yep, okay.
Yeah, those maps that you guys are putting on, I think, Facebook and stuff are super helpful. And the heads up, like, 2 weeks out from closing 70th on the socials. Again, super helpful. Nice map. It's easy to understand. It was easy to, I'm not super familiar with the area necessarily, but it was easy to understand, like, the drive, the detour. So, yeah, nice work on that.
Any other comments, questions? Holy Mylanta. Okay, well, with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
And I'll
Second? All in favor? Unanimous? We will adjourn.
Thank you.
I think.